Hi.
Hello.
Hello, hello.
Ooh.
Happy Tuesday.
Hi everyone, good afternoon.
Hello, hello.
Hello.
Hey, everyone. Hello.
This down. We are just giving everybody a little bit to get in. How are y'all doing? I hope you're having a wonderful start to your week so far.
It's one.
Doing well.
Good to hear. Okay, perfect. And we will probably get officially kicked off right about 6:05. I do want to save a lot of time at the end for any questions that y'all have about your specific application or the initiatives that you're thinking about. So I will try to get kicked off pretty promptly. Let's see our participants slowing down a little, so we will get started in just a minute. Hey y'all, just entering the room. Hope you're well. And then just FYI for everyone at the beginning of the workshop, so that you know, we will follow up with the recording from today, as well as the slide deck, and we will be available for any questions as well. So if you want to just be actively engaged, we'll send all of the follow-up content and collateral afterwards. But awesome. It is 6:05, so we will go ahead and get kicked off here. Hey, y'all. I'm super excited for part two of this three-part grant series that we are doing with the Black Fund, supported by St. David's. We're super excited that the Black Fund application is now open. And so this part two of the series is going to be specifically focused on the application, the structure of the application as well. I have my slides up like this because we're going to hop in and out of the slide deck. So I hope y'all don't mind. I just want to make sure that you can see the application itself properly as we go through this. As I mentioned before, I am planning to hold time towards the end of our time together today for any questions more specific to your application or your initiative. But if you do have any questions as we move throughout the workshop, I do have my chat pulled up here. And so I'll be checking periodically to answer anything. And also, if you have any quick questions as we go through the workshop as well, please feel free to unmute. This workshop is for y'all, so I want to make sure that we are able to spend time giving some custom feedback and information on your grant applications as well. So with that, we will get started. So welcome. We are the hosts of this grant series, we being Little Bit of Good. My name is Monique Parker, and I'm the executive director of Little Bit of Good. We are a capacity building organization that focuses on Black-led nonprofits. Our work is really your needs, the resources, the supports that help for Black-led organizations to both scale and sustain their services. Our hope is that stronger nonprofits who are able to scale ensure that the Black community is more taken care of, well taken care of. So we're happy to be your partners in the community. If you haven't worked with us before, we would love to chat with you. I have some information to give away after this so we can get connected. But the purpose, again, of today's workshop is really to focus on the Black Fund application specifically. In the first installation of the grant series, we focused a lot more on grant writing specifically and kind of the 101s, tips and tricks around grant writing. We have that recorded as well. So if that's something that you would like to see, definitely let us know. We can share that with you. But that workshop focused a lot more on the technical writing aspect of grants. And then this one is going to more specifically look at the couple of questions that the Black Fund is asking, and then specifically the things that you should be thinking about as you work your way through those questions. Quick agenda. We are going to do a general overview of the Black Fund. We're going to talk about each of the different sections of the fund as well. We'll also talk a bit through the budget sheet and take a look at that. And then again, leaving some time at the end for any open Q&A. Perfect. So I know that we're all on Zoom, and I assume that we are going to stay on mute for most time, but you can unmute. Please do if you'd like. But I do like to get a gauge of who all is in our virtual room today. So I want to start with our little icebreaker. If y'all can drop your name, the organization that you are here on behalf of, and if you already know or you've already decided what project or program you're going to be applying for, we'd love to hear more about it. So please drop it in the chat. I'll give y'all a couple seconds to get those answers together. Hey, Shayla. Hey, y'all. Hey, Kitty. Happy belated birthday and congrats on your production last weekend.
Thank you so much. I'm still getting my voice back, but it was wonderful.
It looked amazing. Hey, Donna. Hi, Faye. Hi, Ty. Okay. Hey, family. All of y'all are in here. Okay. I'm super glad to see everybody's going to be applying for the Black Fund this round. Some amazing initiatives. If you see a person or an organization that you haven't heard of before, highly recommend you reaching out on the side, make a new friend tonight, a new collaborator. Awesome. So happy y'all are here. Some familiar faces. Gwendolyn, wonderful to meet you. Well, awesome, y'all. Thank you for being here again. Thank you for spending your evening. I know some of y'all are taking kids to school tomorrow. So again, I will make sure to get through this quickly so we can get into the meat of everything. Okay. I want to just start off by giving a quick overview of the Black Fund in general. The Black Fund was built to both strengthen and advance Black-led organizations here in Central Texas. They specifically focus on funding and capacity building, which is excellent. Specifically focusing on Black-led organizations, Black serving programs, things that are specifically impacting our community and answering to the needs of the Black community. Central Texas based, this is homebred. And then in terms of the different types of projects and things that they are funding, this is a unrestricted grant opportunity. So both your programming, operation expenses, capacity building, it truly is an excellent philanthropic initiative to be an unrestricted grant. There's a ton of different ways that you can apply. You don't have to have your 501, which we'll get into. So we're really lucky to have a fund like the Black Fund in our community that is continuously working to figure out what our needs are and put money behind it. Since its inception, the Black Fund has funded countless organizations in this community, including ours. The Black Fund was actually the first grant that Little Bit of Good ever received. They were the first organization to really see and value our work, and we're so appreciative of the opportunity. And I know a lot of y'all on the call as well have been previous grantees and grants winners. So congratulations, and looking forward to the applicants and seeing who is going to be in this next cohort. So jumping into some of the parameters around the application itself, and definitely things for y'all to remember. The application is now open and it closes on September 12th. Per the details in the application, they will hold learning sessions for applicants that have progressed forward, and then they will announce the awards in December. They are also offering feedback sessions as well, should you want to get more information on the status of your application after grantees are announced. And in terms of the award structure, the grants are actually ranging from $5,000 to $20,000 per organization. Again, they are unrestricted grants, which is the best. They are our favorite. It's a 12-month general reporting period. And if selected, y'all will learn more about the reporting structure and requirements at the beginning of the year. They are not extensive reporting requirements. The Black Fund has done a really excellent job at trying to be intentional about not putting additional work on your plate and really embedding it into your everyday kind of data collection methods. But they do require kind of a general impact report towards the end of the year. So something to remember. They also do a Committee's Choice Award. So there will be 5 applicants who will have a special $5,000 grant. They will also be providing capacity building support through a Little Bit of Good. So excited to work with our Committee Choice Awards peeps as well. Just checking for any questions so far in the chat. I think we are good. I do see someone who mentioned fiscal sponsorship. This application does take fiscally sponsored initiatives and organizations. I believe they also do have resources if you are looking for a fiscal sponsor to partner you with or help you find a good partner in that work too. I do believe there's a contact in the application if you're interested in that as well. So going over the different funding impact areas. So with the Black Fund, there are 5 different impact areas that they have chosen to invest in. Each of these different areas directly impact the Black community, so they were very intentionally chosen. One thing to note in regards to the impact areas, when you are applying for this grant, your whole organizational mission doesn't necessarily need to align with the impact area. The program or the initiative that you're applying for would align with these different impact areas. So just going through them quickly here, we have education, access, and outcomes, which is supporting educational success for the Black community. That could look like a variety of different partnerships around education, workshops, anything supporting students, things like that to further educational-based outcomes within our community. We have wealth building, things that are working to close the racial wealth gap. Economic mobility falls into this as well. Any initiatives that are driving our workforce would definitely fall into wealth building. Financial wellness and well-being could also be something appropriate for this section. We have healthcare and wellness, which is a pretty broad section, but anything that is working to advance mental, physical, or spiritual health of underserved and or the Black community here. Again, very broad impact area there, but there are a ton of different things that can fall under health and wellness. There are a ton of external things that don't necessarily align with what you would consider health in terms of a doctor's perspective of it, but we know that these things have direct impact on our overall well-being. So I do think you can be a bit more open-minded with the things that you consider health and wellness, especially if you're writing a really strong grant proposal. Then we have power building, organizing, and advocacy. This impact area is really organizations or initiatives that are working to build the collective to really empower underserved communities in redesigning our system. So a little bit of good and our capacity initiatives fell into this category, but any initiative or organization that is bringing together the collaborative or advocating for changes on behalf of our community would be a great option to fall under power building. And then lastly, arts, culture, and preservation. So this is all of our artists. This is anyone who is contributing to recreation in the city. This is anyone who is working on preservation or continuing, the history of the Black community here locally. Again, I think this is a more broad impact area as well. So you can be creative so long as you have a strong grant application. But generally, all 5 of these different impact areas kind of cover the gamut in terms of the different areas that we serve. I'd say if you feel like your org or your initiative doesn't necessarily align with any of these areas, we would be happy to help walk through that with you. And I definitely recommend that you attend the Black Fund informational session tomorrow, which I'll give out the information on a little bit later. But they will be holding an informational session so you can hear directly from the Black Fund about the application and ask more questions as well. A couple questions in the chat here. Can this be used as volunteer salaries? Jing, oh, can y'all hear me okay? Just give a thumbs up. Someone said there was some distortion. Okay, perfect. Jing, I will hold that until the end and probably pass that over to Terry and Janae. So if you don't mind, I will hold that one. And then if the organization is out of Houston, Texas, can you still apply for the grant? I think we can quickly cover that one. Terry or Janae, if you're available.
Yeah, I'm happy to cover either or both.
Perfect.
Okay. So, Jing, you're asking, can our proposal address multiple impact areas, or would it be more strategic to focus on one primary area? Because we do expect an uptick in applications due to anti-DEI climate, we are requesting and requiring that you apply to one impact area. So I hope that answers your question. And what was the other question? I'm looking
if your org is out of Houston, can you still apply for the grant?
This org is specifically for you can be headquartered or stationed anywhere, but your grant dollars should be utilized in the Central Texas area, specifically for the advancement of Black people. in Central Texas.
And then lastly, Terry, can the grant be used for volunteer salaries?
I don't know what you mean by volunteer salaries. If we're talking about a stipend of some kind, I'm not familiar with what a volunteer salary is. So if you want to give more clarity in the chat around that, please do. However, this is unrestricted. Okay, stipend. Yes, these are unrestricted funds, so they can be used as to your discretion, so long as the grant scorers take on the application as a grant. You can use those dollars best possible to leverage and advance your mission and your project.
Perfect. Thank you, Terry. Continue to drop your questions in the chat as they come up. Now, just a quick overview, and my picture got cut off here, so some of the logos are getting cut off, but wanted to provide a visual for some of the organizations that the Black Fund has previously funded, and also the different impact areas that they fell under. So I will edit this by the time we send it out, and y'all can take a look and see. If you know some of these organizations, some of them you'll see they must have applied with initiatives or programs that fell under different impact areas because their overall mission is not necessarily that area. So that is what I was mentioning earlier. Don't feel like your organization itself needs to align completely with the impact area if you have a program or initiative that is falling specifically within that area. Nakia, I will hold that one until the end because I think we'll get into more discussion around that as well. So just a quick overview of all of the different application sections. And then I'll quickly go into kind of what application and everything looks like once you're in the portal. But we have an eligibility and contact section, mainly your contact information, of course. Organizational overview, which is comprised of 2 questions and the option to submit a video. We have your work and impact, which is going to talk about the specific program that you're applying for, as well as your historical impact and previous work within our community. Your DEI data in relation to your board, your staff, and then also your service community. And then they do ask for a project budget, and there has been a budget sheet provided that the Black Fund is requesting that everyone utilize for their grant. So if you already have your budget written, wonderful, you can copy and paste it in there. And if not, it's a very simple template for you to be able to drop in numbers that align with the program that you're applying for. Just really quickly, I want to show y'all, and as we walk through this too, so getting into the grant, you can go to the Black Fund website, you can hit preview and apply. Once you get into the grant portal, you'll use your login. If you don't already have a login, you'll create one. It has the option for you to go ahead and preview the grant itself, and this will pop up a PDF that you can view. It has all the questions in there. So if you are someone, I would definitely recommend do your questions in a separate doc. You can get all your editing and everything done in a separate doc, and then bring it back into the portal. Once you're actually in the portal, you'll click into apply. It'll have you log in and do all your things. Again, if you've been into the portal already, then this is pretty standard for you. But if not, you'll want to scroll all the way down, and then we have the Black Fund application here. They've laid out all of the timeline information, decision information, and once you click into it, it shows all of the eligibility guidelines, and then you have the opportunity to submit your finalized grant questions. So just wanted to go through that. Again, utilizing the PDF here. Can y'all see the PDF on my screen, or are you still seeing the portal?
We see the portal.
You can see the portal? Okay, one second. Let me stop and reshare. Okay, can you see this here?
Yes.
Okay, so this is what the questions list will pop up and look like. Again, it has everything that's going to be in the application, including all of the extra information that you'll need, FAQs. They have the scoring rubric here, which I highly recommend that you utilize as you write your grant responses. But I just wanted to show y'all this as we go through the workshop today so that you can see the different questions that I'm referencing as we go through them. So again, describing all of the different funding categories in here, making it very clear kind of how to align your project. It breaks down each of the different funding amounts. And also talks more about the Committee's Choice Award and then the different requirements as a grantee. Again, Black Fund has made it very easy. There's not a ton of requirements to apply. You can be a new organization, an existing organization, 501 or fiscally sponsored, which is excellent. And then the capacity workshops, which y'all learned today. So wonderful. Policies we won't go through. Y'all can read these here. And then again, more information on eligibility. So I'm just going to quickly scroll to these first couple of questions here in the section 1. This is all of your basic information that you're going to include. I am going to jump back into the slide deck to talk more through this. But just so that you see it here, these are the different questions that we'll be talking through, and then the different things that they're asking, excuse me. So your project type, if this is a oncoming future project, or if this is something that's already in existence, these will be drop down questions as well. So you won't have to make up your own answers. You're choosing from these answers here. The purpose of this grant. Now, I would say go with the best option when it comes to these. If you are submitting a project that is a combination of, some operating support and some program support, I would say just go with whatever best aligns with your program there. Same thing goes with the stage of development that your organization is in. Do not be ashamed to list anything here. It will not hurt your application. Just helps the Black Fund to better support you in various ways, and then get a better understanding of where each of the organizations applying kind of stand. Again, your tax status and all of that, and then your annual operating budget range here. So I'm going to pop back into the slide deck. All right. Okay. And can y'all now see the slides again? Okay, perfect. So just going into the section that we just went over, all of your eligibility and contact information. This is more so tips and tricks, and gonna go over this very briefly. Biggest things to remember is to go back and proofread all of your contact information, because the worst thing would be to submit your grant and have a typo in your email or in your phone number, and they can't actually reach you to let you know that you've been granted the money. Same thing goes with any of your EIN or your sponsor's EIN information. You just want to make sure that everything you put in there is completely sound. If you have a second person that's working on this with you, just before you hit submit, make sure somebody else takes a look at it. But basic foundational information that you're submitting around your organization. And if you, while you're working through this, if you didn't already have a dedicated space where all this information lived, this is a good opportunity to go ahead and just create that one pager or that one doc, so that your next application, you already have it ready to go. Quick question from Love in the chat. For organization overview and DEI date, if you're an individual applying with the fiscal sponsor, how is this calculated in terms of scoring? Are you asking, as far as the information that you'll provide, your organizational overview and like your DEI information will be about your organization. Like if you are a fiscally sponsored org right now, but you're building your board, or you have a couple volunteers and things like that, I do believe Black Fund is looking for info specific on your org as opposed to your fiscal sponsor. But Terry, please correct me if I'm wrong. If they are applying with a fiscal sponsor, do you want the fiscal sponsor's organizational overview and DEI information?
You're spot on, Monique. The information is about your specific organization, not your fiscal sponsor. There is no score against if you're a 501c3 or fiscally sponsored program. So that is not scored at all. That just helps us with navigating, should you get awarded, who and where to send that award.
Perfect. All right, love. Okay, looked like that was helpful. Perfect. So section 2 is your organizational overview. The Black Fund is the best application because it is very short. There are basically 4 main questions in addition to the project budget template. They give you up to 1,000 characters for your application as well. Because there are only so many questions, you do have the opportunity to get a bit more detailed around your story and the why behind the initiative that you're applying for. So this is a great application also to fill out if you're new to grant writing as well. It is not as daunting, and it's a good starter for thinking about your program more in depth. Within this organizational overview section, like I mentioned, there's 2 questions in there and then the opportunity to submit a video. The first question is asking about your origin story. And so it's talking about why your org is in existence, how you got started, what is your founder story. If you are the founder applying on behalf of this grant, they want to get a real understanding as to why this is even existing today. So utilizing just some points here, and when you are writing that answer, things to think about, starting with the why. I always love to start with a stat or some sort of data point or an anecdote that shows why we are passionate about this specific topic, or what made me decide to, found this organization. So if there is one specific point that you can bring to the top of your origin story, I think that is always fantastic in helping to further explain the why behind your work. You then want to go into what made you decide to make this a nonprofit, because we all know that the nonprofit route can be difficult, although wonderful, but always interesting to find out exactly the moment when you or your organization decided that this was a need that needed to be responded to. It really helps, again, for us to figure out, or the Black Fund to figure out exactly how prevalent this need is, and also your background as a leader or as a founder of this organization, how close you are to the work. Are you someone with lived experience, etc.? Then you want to go into what you're currently doing. How are y'all addressing this problem? What are your different services? Not in detail. In this area, you can give a higher level overview of the types of services that you provide. There'll be opportunity for you to provide more detail on your programs and services in later questions. But here, you just want to give a higher level overview. Here's how it started. Here's why we decided to make this an organization. Here's how we serve the community now. Then you want to go into how this is moving our community forward, or what would happen if this service did not exist. So if we were not doing our work for the last 3 years, then 60% of this community would not have had access to clean water, for example. But you want to show exactly the gap that you're filling, or the problem that you are specifically answering to, and also what the problem will become if it remains unanswered, or if your initiative remains unfunded. But this is your opportunity to really kind of pull the heartstrings, but also utilize some data and real life anecdotes to show the real need for what you do and why. And then you want to leave them with a little bit of a dream. What is the full scope or the full vision behind this project or this organization overall? If we are able to do this at our fullest capacity, here is what our community would look like. Here is what our community would have access to. But you want to leave them with the big idea of your organization or your organization's impact. Stephanie, I will get to your question in just a second about the video. I have a couple slides on that as well. Second question, they are going to ask for your mission statement. I assume majority of y'all have a mission statement written. If not, this is just a quick guideline for how to kind of structure out your mission statement, but also good for orgs or leaders who have used the same mission statement for a while to kind of go back and make sure that it is still very clearly aligned with your work, your current work, your service community, and also really conveys the work of your organization in a concise way. Mission statements are meant to be short. One is a little too short, but 2 to 3 sentences tops to really explain what your organization does. If you have a 1-sentence mission statement, I think that's probably killing it. The best thing, this is what we do and why, period. But generally 2 to 3 sentences for your mission statement, and you want to be able to very clearly describe, this is what the issue is, this is how we serve it, and why. If you already have a mission statement in use and it is pretty long, I would say this is a good opportunity to go back and revise it. Again, making sure that it is in full alignment with what you do. But your vision statement can really carry out more of what your future hopes are, whereas your mission statement is talking specifically about the work and the impact that you're trying to have now. There is a structure here at the bottom that I like to use just to keep myself more concise when it comes to mission statements. And I think it's pretty nice if you haven't structured out your mission statement as well. But for example, we exist to, and then you throw in your verb or your action in there for your specific service community so they can. And then the outcome of whatever your service is. You can also think of it as more of an if-then statement as well. If we are able to do this, then the overall impact will be to really define that mission statement too. Okay, so getting to the video. Although the video is optional, I would highly recommend for y'all to submit a video. I think it is an awesome opportunity to really show your passion and your enthusiasm around your organization and the work that you're doing. It's a great opportunity to have a little more time to expand upon the work that you're doing, the work that you've done, why you're applying for this grant opportunity. It really helps you draw in the audience as well. They are going to be reviewing a ton of grant applications, and this is an opportunity for you to add a little spice onto your application as well by being able to show your personality. I'd also say if you're not feeling that strong about your written grant responses, this is a great opportunity too for you to be able to add a little padding or some cushion around your why, or talk a bit more about the application that you're submitting as well. A couple things though when submitting your videos, because you want to make sure that you're putting your best foot forward with these videos. It is still a grant application, so the video should be as professional as possible. That does not mean that you need to go and shoot it in a studio. You would be fine with your phone on a blank background, but make sure that you plan out what you're going to say. You only have 3 minutes. And although 3 minutes can feel long, once you get started talking about what you're applying for, why we need this money, what you're passionate about, that 3 minutes goes really, really quick. So some people benefit from a script. I would not shy away from reading a script if that makes you feel more comfortable, if that helps you to better convey the mission and intention behind this application. And if not a script, at least having an outline of specific key points that you want to hit in this video, so that you don't get off topic and you make sure that you're talking about all the things that you specifically want to mention. You want to make sure that your background is ready to be submitted in a grant application. So a plain background or wall. I wouldn't necessarily do something while you're moving. Make sure that you have a couple minutes to stay still where you're at. Obviously, sound, making sure that they can hear you clearly, and then also your lighting so that they can see you. But again, really great low lift opportunity for you to really add some additional information and support for your grant application. So I hope that answers, Stephanie. Your video absolutely does not need to be professionally recorded. We submitted a video with our grant application, and I was sitting on the floor in my bedroom against a wall. I think that you yourself applying for this and talking about, the work that you're doing is more than enough, and they just want to hear from you. So no need for anything fancy. Yay, Rocky! Y'all match with the fiscal sponsor. That's incredible. Okay, so I assume that you are applying, and that is going to be amazing. Awesome. Okay, so next, your work and your impact. So I'm going to pop out again and go back into our application. Here. Okay, hold on, y'all. Okay. So going back into the preview question so that we can look at number 3. So this is your work and impact. Again, this is a 2-question section. This is the money section to me. This is where you're going to describe the project that you are applying with. And then you're also going to support that with historical context about how you've worked with the community, how you've been embedded with the community, and if not, previous collaboration or research, volunteer work, anything that pretty much vouches for your credibility in doing this work within our community specifically. So a couple things to think about with that. And I hope y'all don't mind that I'm going back and forth. I just want to make sure that you see exactly what we're talking about so that when you go back to write your grants, you know. So for your project description, again, we have 1,000 characters for this section. So this is your opportunity to really talk in a concise way, but also with giving enough detail for someone to be able to understand what you're doing and why they need to be investing in this immediately. So a couple things for you to think about as you're working through this specific question. And if it's helpful, before you create your actual draft response, if you just list out each of these different things, the what, the who, the how, and the why, and then create a couple different bullet points under that, it really helps you to connect the dots while you're writing out your answer. But with the what, that is exactly what you're doing. What is this initiative? What does it do? Try not to conflate this with the how, and it's hard because the how and the what are completely separate. But this is focusing on specifically what you're going to be doing with the requested funds, breaking down, the service into specific areas. If we are going to be doing workshops, again, not going into detail on what the workshop is yet, but just covering high level what you're going to do. I'm doing workshops. I'm going to plan these events. I'm going to do a community volunteer day, but being specific to the what of it all. Then the who is you going into your service community or your target population. And this is where you're going to talk about who you're servicing or who you're working with. And you want to be as specific as possible. If you are specifically working with the Black LGBTQ community, or you are specifically working with teachers within, AISD, getting even more specific. I think it helps to paint a better story about the direct impact of your program, as opposed to saying, we're helping all people. We're helping all people in Central Texas. If there is an opportunity to get more specific, we are focusing on, for this initiative, we are focusing on this county and this county, or this location and this location. I think it helps also with your budget, the more specific you're able to get within the service community that this program is impacting. Then we have the how, and this is going to be your opportunity to get more specific in your approach. So if you're talking about doing community events, what type of community event are you doing? How is this going to happen? How is this going to help you meet your bottom line or your intended impact? Why do you think this specific type of program is going to lead to the intended outcome? But this is where you can really describe, we know that by hosting this community event once a month, it increases volunteerism by 30% year over year. This is also an opportunity for you to bring in some numbers and some data as well. Whether this is data that your organization has collected internally, or if this is external data that you're able to utilize. Going back to the first workshop in our grant series, we talked a little bit about data and using external data. This is a good opportunity to do a quick Google and see the impact this has on your service community, and maybe include some of those data points or stats or anecdotes as well. Same goes with why it matters. So this is where you are going to go deeper into what your short and long-term goals are, both as an organization, high level, but also specifically with this program. What does the short term look like if you get this funding? And what does the long term look like as well for this specific program? Including both tangible outcomes and some of your more qualitative outcomes. So having some numbers here, we are going to be able to serve X amount of people through this program. We are going to be able to impact families in this way. That is an example of using both the qualitative or more tangible outcomes, and also some of the things that we're just able to glean from what we're doing. So we know that if there is healthy food at home, then typically, the child won't be obese. I don't know that for sure, but I'm trying to give just a quick example there. But this is where you want to really use that if and then. If we're able to do this, this is what our final impact is going to be. All right. Going into your historical context. So this is the second question in that section 3. And this is where you're talking about your specific work within this community. If you are a newer organization or a newer initiative, this is your opportunity to give a better story, perhaps around how you even recognized that this was something that needed to be done. You can talk about how, I'm used to walking through my city and I noticed that we're lacking, bright, beautiful murals down the street. And so I started volunteering with so-and-so, and eventually it led to the creation of this org. If you are a existing organization, talking about your work within the community over the years, the different organizations that you've partnered with over the years, whether that has been a collaborative partnership or a service-based partnership. Maybe you have partnered with a school or, a community center or something like that to provide services. This is your opportunity to really lean into showing off a little bit. I've been here and this is the work that I've done, whether that is as an individual, especially again with newer organizations or initiatives, and also as an organization. This is your time to really show off your previous work, any previous accolades as well that you've gotten from the community, and then also keeping in mind that this is the Black Fund. We do have a specific focus on the Black community. So throughout all of your answers, be bringing it back to the distinct connection to the Black community as well. I also feel if in historical context you have lived experience to talk about that is relevant to the organization or the initiative, this is also an appropriate time to really outline, your previous insights or experiences as well. Any questions? Because I'm zooming through just because I want to make sure we have time for any live questions that y'all have as well. So please just stop me. This is just a quick reminder about using quantitative and qualitative data within your answers. You want to make sure that you have both some hard facts, stats, and data. Again, if you are a newer org or initiative, or you haven't necessarily gotten your data collection practice together, that is absolutely fine. There is more than enough external data that you're able to use to support your why. So if that is looking at some of our local city data, if that is pulling from the census, you can even find organizations that are similar to yours, larger organizations that have funded research or posted, survey responses or other data, and use that information within your grant answers. You don't have to own the data to use it, especially if it relates to the work that you're doing. And then our qualitative data, our anecdotes, our testimonials, our community feedback, those are always things, if you have it available, to be able to include within your grant application as well. It provides more of that human story and shows the again, more human impact of your work. So if you have a quick sentence from a customer testimonial or a client who wrote you a thank you letter or something like that, those are really great things to include in your application. It's not too fluffy. Again, with this specific application as well, we have a little bit more space with answering our questions. So some of that qualitative information is really great to include. Bringing it back again to the first workshop, and maybe we'll just include that recording in with this one in case you weren't there for it. Utilizing the CARE framework as you go through your grant responses, just using this again as an outline for how you're putting your answers together. This really helps in regards to making sure that you fully answered each question. This can apply to every question within the grant application, and just making sure we've provided context, we've provided action by effectively describing what we're doing, we've shown the results or the outcomes of what we're doing or what we're trying to do, and then we've provided some evidence, whether that is data, whether that is community feedback, etc. But within every answer, you want to make sure that you're touching on each section of this CARE model to really ensure that you fully responded to the application question. Also, just a quick thing. Again, I know that a lot of us leverage AI when it comes to answering or for grant writing in general. It is a great tool in kind of helping you generate ideas or helping to clarify some of your thoughts. But make sure that your application is distinctly yours. Because everybody uses AI, I think a lot of the times you'll see trends in the types of language different machines use, the types of punctuation that the different AIs use. And not that you need to cover up that you're utilizing the tool, but always going back in and making sure that you're adding some more personalization to your response. You still want to really take the time and take the care to fully answer these questions. And a bot could never give as much detail or make it as human as you are able to. So I always suggest, even if you are primarily utilizing AI, go back through, especially with this application. It is 4 questions, but go back through, change up some of the language, change the punctuation, take those dashes out of your writing. It is one of my biggest pet peeves personally. But everybody knows. So just take the dashes out of there at minimum if you are using AI to submit your application. And then also make sure that you have a really cohesive story throughout all of your different question responses. It should make sense that all of this is coming from one organization. Your project description should flow into your historical context so that it makes sure, or it makes sense as to how this organization got into this work or why you are now qualified to provide this service. So going back once you're all done, reading all of your questions together just to make sure that they all flow collectively, although they are separate questions. Okay, the dashes. I am not the only one who sees the dashes every time. I'm just like, Lord, take the dashes out. Also, I used AI to make this entire slide deck. So I am an AI fan. I do not want that to present as I'm against AI. I absolutely love it. It makes my life amazing. But I think that we should spend a little bit more time on what AI provides us as well. So DEI data, I'm going to quickly go over the slide that we have on it, and then we can see the different questions from the application, just so y'all know what that looks like and how to submit your DEI information. But they're going to be asking for demographic information in regards to your board, staff, and then also your service community. And this is going to be service community from all time. So if you're an organization that's been in for a while, maybe you don't have your all-time service numbers, perfectly fine for you to kind of estimate that information, but as precise as we can be is great. I don't believe that information will ding you in regard to your grant application, but the Black Fund does like to see diverse representation from applicants in regards to leadership and staff, and then also board representation as well. So let me. All right. So pulling up the diversity info. So you'll see here, when you submit the application, it'll look exactly like this inside the portal as well. For your board members, it'll have a different list of demographics, and then you'll input the number of board members that you have that fall within these different demographic segments. If you don't already have this information from your board, you can quickly put together a Google form with these specific questions in there so that you have that collected, and then moving forward with any other of your grant applications, you already have it on deck. But you're just going to want to put the baseline information of racial and ethnic demographics of your board members in here. They also have the same listed for your executive staff, and then non-executive as well. So non-executive would be anyone obviously not in your leadership suite if you're a larger organization. And then getting into your people served, again, you're going to be looking into folks served in your entire time of existence. So going back into your information, if you don't have a system set up, not that you need to set one up specifically for this application, but something to think about. How are we going to be collecting, demographic information moving forward? Is that information that's relevant to our work? Should we be collecting this, and how? It's just always good to question your data collection techniques, especially as grants start to get a bit more focused on the data, some grants at least. It's nice to just have some numbers ready to submit. Perfect. And then you'll have some basic questions here that you can answer. And then you'll go through the same thing in relation to gender identity. So again, if you don't already have this information for your board members, very quickly you can put it together in a Google Doc, ask these 2 questions in there, and then you have all of your board and staff demo just ready to go for you. Now, lastly, you will submit your project budget. So this is going to be a budget specifically for the program, project, or initiative that you are applying with. This is not going to be your complete organizational budget. This is specific to the program that you're applying for. And again, they have created an actual sheet to be used. So inside of the application, once you scroll down and you get to the budget area, they'll have a link in there that links out to the actual budget document. It's going to be in Box. So what I did, I just copied and pasted the whole thing into, thank you, into a Google document. Because that is what I'm most familiar with. You'll be able to download this as a PDF and then upload it into your application. One thing just to notice when it comes to the budget template, all of this can be edited. So just because you see these different expenses listed here, these are not expenses that you need a budget for. You'll take these out and put in the specific line items that are aligned with your project budget or your program budget. Then you're going to want to put the number total for each of the different line items. What is that total expense going to be? And then you'll designate how much you're requesting from the Black Fund. So the Black Fund grants up to $20,000 for organizations. If you are applying with a program, let's say that has a budget of $40,000, you know that that is beyond what the allotment is for the Black Fund. But you can still put your full budget here and then what the Black Fund would be covering. So the program that you're applying with does not need to fit within the parameters of the grant, but I would recommend that if you are applying, you're going to need to speak to how you plan on raising the additional funds, or if these are additional funds that are in existence. Also, as you apply, you want to make sure that these are realistic figures. So if you were to have a $40,000 program, you get a $20,000 grant from the Black Fund, you want to already have a plan and a strategy before you even find out that you got that grant about how you're bringing in the additional funds so you can bring this project to fruition. So you do want to stay within realistic boundaries in terms of what you can do with the granted money, and if the budget is above that $20,000 figure, potentially, what or how are you going to fulfill that deficit there? Again, you'll be able to save this as a PDF and then upload it into your grant application. Make sure if you are, did you have a question? Nope. Okay. Hey. Make sure that if you are putting line items in there for specific staff or contractors or things like that, that you do some research in terms of the cost of these different folks, so that you can be as precise as possible with what the cost is going to be. That also factors into your later work so that you know, okay, we have $2,000 outlined for a photographer, and we now have found someone, or this is a realistic budget for what we need, that 2,000. The worst thing would be to have less in that line item than you actually are going to need for that specific thing. So doing a little bit of the legwork up front to figure out the true cost of everything. Your budget template is not going to prohibit you from, receiving this grant, but I think having that strategy and building out your budget on the front end really helps you to achieve that budget goal at the end. So doing a little bit of that research there. Also, in regards to any of your materials costs or rental costs, things like that, not necessarily assuming that maybe we'll get a space sponsored or something like that. Even if you think you might get a space sponsored, maybe you still want to put a small budget in your line item for that, just in case you do end up having to come out of pocket for all or a portion of it. And if not, that's money that you're able to reinvest into the program. So really consider all things when you're writing out these budgets. Perfect. A couple more just tips in regards to things that you're thinking about with your budget. as you write out your grant responses, know that you'll be submitting this budget template. So anything that you put in that grant response in terms of the service that you're providing or the things that you'll do, they'll need to be reflected in that budget as well so that it makes sense. We need these different things covered so that we can fulfill this service that we wrote about in the grant response. Again, realistic and transparent in regards to your needs, and then utilizing those market rates just as far as specific contractors or different rentals and things. All right, so that was a lot. Again, we also have the Black Fund information session tomorrow at noon, where you'll be able to ask more questions directly to the Black Fund team. But for now, I just wanted to open it up in case y'all do have any questions. If you want to,
Monique, it's
yes.
not tomorrow, it's on Friday.
Oh, Friday at noon still?
Yes.
Okay, Friday at noon.
And they can all RSVP to that message that they got today. The RSVP link is in there.
RSVP in the email that you got today, Friday at noon, information session with the Black Fund team.
And
But
there's two pretty good questions in the chat too. I don't know if you got to those yet.
let me pop in here. Do the funds have to be expended in this fiscal year? Does your fiscal year end in December, or have you just started your fiscal year or about to in October?
About to in October.
Okay, so your fiscal year will go into 2026?
Yes.
I don't believe that your initiative needs or your request needs to be aligned with your fiscal year. It's just the reporting happens within a year's time from you getting the grant.
Okay.
And then for the Black Fund, would a project with a smaller budget be considered more competitive, or is budget size not a relevant factor in selection? I would say it is not a factor in selection. I think how realistic it is for this money to have an impact with what you're applying for is weighed much heavier than how much you're asking for. But I will defer to Terry if you have anything to add.
The budget is not in any ways, scored or we're just interested in learning your budget, but it has no impact on the application.
Awesome. And is it Mina or Minna? Feel free to hop off mute.
Yeah, it's Mina. My full name is Marianelle, but we just keep it simple with 4 letters. Yeah, I just had a question regarding because my organization, we do work in Central Texas. I mean, my warehouse is in Central Texas, but like we have several counties outside of the service area. And when it comes to the data portion, do we include all of those people that we serve? Or is it only in the service area that this grant covers?
Ooh, I would say in totality, just because I would imagine that you're not necessarily segmenting your data based on like Central Texas versus other areas in Texas. But again, we'll defer just in case I'm wrong.
So yes and no. Like we do have, so my background is I'm a data scientist, data engineer. So I do split, but then it's like I got in the public health space. And so here we are doing all the things. And so we do, but also we can roll it up together so people can see like this is how many communities we impact. So
Ooh. I would still vote for total, but Terry, that is an excellent question. If they have both data points in terms of total community served, but then they also have information specifically on Central Texas community served.
I would probably do, that's a really good question. I don't think that, and I can bring this back to the steering committee as something that we need to flesh out for future grant cycles. I would agree with Monique that it would be the total served. If there's a way to delineate the two in your application, please do.
Great. Thank you so much. We'll do that.
Pump y'all up. We want to see all the wonderful work you're doing. Any other questions or any like org specific or initiative specific things y'all have questions about? Sure. And if not, I'm gonna update this. Oh no, I have the right date on here. Okay, so the Black Fund info session for Friday at noon will be virtual. And like Janae said, the RSVP link is in the email that was sent out today. In
As
addition,
well as the chat.
oh, as well as the chat. Oh yeah, RSVP is in the chat, so please do RSVP. And then we also are holding an in-person grant support session. So this will be an opportunity for you to bring your drafts. So this session should be for folks who at least have a draft written of their application and would like to go through it with an expert, an advisor. These will be different advisors from around the community that have their eyes open just in regards to your storytelling, how effectively you were able to answer the question. They are not representatives from the Black Fund. I do want to be clear about that. But here to help you with your application. I will send over signups for that to Janae to be sent out. But we have 10 advisors. We'll have about 30 slots for the day. So 2 to 5 p.m. if you want. Excuse me, if you want to come and get some in-person support for your grant application as well. And then I saw another question, a couple questions. I'm going to stop sharing and we can all look at each other. Ooh, apologies about the light in here, y'all. It is getting dark now. But Jing says, for unrestricted funding like the Black Fund, how is success evaluated if a project's activities change? For example, if we propose several camps but end up adjusting the scope, how should we report impact so it still meets your expectations?
Monique, let me know if you'd like me to interject or when.
I was just going to say, I feel like funders are typically pretty flexible when changes happen, so long as you're communicating them. I think you can share, Terry, too, more in regards to what y'all are expecting as far as reporting and how that might impact.
That's exactly right. We would ask that you let us know before changes and project activity starts, as well as what those changes look like and what the differences are in between what was proposed and what is moving forward. We stay fluid in that case because we do recognize that sometimes we're throwing things up at the wall to see what sticks, and that sometimes it doesn't go as planned, or different things happen based on time. So again, communication is by far your best resource with the team. As far as reporting and evaluations, this year we are going to be doing a digital tool by way of Measure, which is a data science company that focuses on Black and Brown organizations directly. It is called Measure Ignite. And we will work with you at the onset of during orientation that will come in January for awardees, where we work with you on what your KPIs and metrics for success look like, and you will decide what those how you are going to evaluate yourself. The idea is both for us to build a story on how well and how fair our awardees have done, but more so than that, for you to help tell your story and track your own very unique metrics. So this is a new system that we'll be testing alongside you, but there's already a proof of concept that this is a successful tool, a low and easy way to report that works for you and your organization moving forward, versus it just being some check the box and some nuanced report that really doesn't help you to build out, grow, and scale further moving forward. So we're looking forward to that. But yeah, to answer your question around changing projects, we recognize that is something that is not unique to Black and Brown organizations, and that we're always testing and things shift with the environment, and we are prepared to shift with you so long as communication is up to par.
Let us know if that answered your question, Jing. I skipped a question from Tyra, and it's a good one. Would we be able to get partial funds if we don't get the initial requested amount, or is it all or nothing? I do not believe that it is all or nothing. I do believe that you get what is within the amount that you're awarded, that 5 to 20, regardless of what your budget amount is. But again, Terry, correct me if I'm wrong.
You're right, Monique. There are 20 awards total. So 5 are in the amount of $20,000. Each category gets one $20,000 award. Every category gets one $15,000 award. Another category gets a $10,000 award. And then there's a $5,000 capacity building accelerator. We will decide based on, there's a process when scores come out, we will decide who the semifinalists are. And then based on that interview with the semifinalists, which is virtual, the grants team, I'm saying we, but I'm not even in those conversations. The grants team will decide who gets what portion. So you could very well request 20,000, but fare as a semifinalist and only get 10,000. I'm just using that as an example. Tyra, I hope that answers your question.
Perfect. I'm just checking for any others. Accessing part 1, we can send it out in the follow-up email that is sent. It'll have both the part 1 recording as well as this recording, and I can share both slide decks as well. So you'll have that. Does the Black Fund assist with finding fiscal sponsors? Yes, they do. I believe the email is grants@Black Fund.
Yes. The email is grants@theblackfundcentraltx.org. It's also in the application as well as the website for your convenience. Feel free to reach out to us anytime and every time you have a question, including those around getting placed with a fiscal sponsor, should you need to. However, we are accepting the fiscal sponsor of your choice, so long as they are within good 501c3 standing.
Perfect. And I think we have touched on all the questions. Again, so many opportunities. So many opportunities for us to get together again for additional support on grant applications. Little Bit of Good is always happy to offer one-to-one time as well. My information will be in the slide deck, and also I'll shoot you out an email tomorrow as well. So if y'all do have additional questions or want to sit down or want to talk about AI, it really is my favorite thing to use. Please reach out and let us know. And then I do want to put a plug in for the survey. We will share a survey with all of the other content and collateral after this, and it would be the best gift if y'all could respond. It really just helps us to curate better workshops, better information, figure out the style that you like, and also if this was effective or relevant or useful at all. So we would absolutely appreciate your responses there.
Monique, fabulous. Do you mind if I say just a few more things?
Okay.
To Monique's point, I would certainly leverage the rubric. Several of you had questions around like scoring and like where those allocations are. Your rubric will be your best friend. Please, check the rubric, make sure that your answers are that you're answering your questions based on the rubric. That is what is being scored specifically. So it is outlined. The second thing that I'll say is, and I think that it was mentioned before, but want to reiterate, we are expecting to experience an uptick in applications this year because unfortunately we are in a time of anti-DEI, which means that many Black organizations or Black-led, Black serving organizations are receiving fewer and fewer opportunities to receive funding. Please note that if you do not receive funding, it is because we are expecting more than 200 applications and only have 20 grant awards to give. I'm not, trying to discourage you from doing that, but I want to set expectations that this is going to be a relatively competitive grant cycle. One thing that we should know as Black people is that when one of us wins, we all win. And so we should be very happy and proud when our brother or our sister or our other wins, because we all are in this together. Monique is here speaking to you as a grant awardee. However, she applied in grant cycle 1, and I'm sorry if I'm telling your business, Monique, and received a decline letter. Okay. She continued, she persisted, she asked the questions, she stayed in front of us, she made sure to align her application even further to what needed to be done, came back in grant cycle 2, and not only won herself, but 7 of the folks that came out of her cohort, her capacity building cohort, also won a grant. 6. She was the 7th, right? So it really speaks to persistence. I am asking you to take up all of these opportunities to engage. There will be the informational session on Friday. There will be office hours with our grants tri-chairs, which is Ashley Hamilton, TK Kenny, and Bill Wallace. You have time to meet with them in person. You also have a little bit of goods in-person kickback where you can speak about your specific grant in person and have conversations. And if there's anything else that we can do to support you around technical support, we will do that. Just reach out to us via email. We are trying to give you as many opportunities as possible. We do plan throughout the year to also, start to funnel through what other opportunities are available and on the horizon outside of the Black Fund of Central Texas. But I do want to reiterate, there will be an uptick, and we know that there will be some emotion around that. But the thread should be that we are happy for whomever does win, and that we're coming back to win in the future. We also will be giving feedback, right? So, for those that may not receive the what they're looking for, there will be feedback sessions. And this year, for the first time, we are requiring our grant scorers, all 40 plus of them, to write very specific notes as to why they scored the way that they wanted to. And we hope that is a tool to use so that you better understand what they were looking for from your grant as well. So you will be given clear, anonymous, but clear written details as to why your grant application scored the way that it is. And I think that is also a tool as well. Lastly, a little bit of good is coming back on the back end to give capacity building support at a deeper level. It would be a 9-month or so, maybe 10-month accelerator that is free to you. This is a tool that is upward of $10,000 sometimes per organization. That is free to you, because we do believe that these small grants are a gift, but the real gift is in knowing, we're giving you fish by way of the grant amount, but the real gift is in teaching you how to fish. So we'll be going deeper with those capacity building workshops, and for those that sign up, on exactly how to move your organization forward, how to deeper grant write, how to deeper find other pots of funds for your organization as well. To me, that's a bigger resource in these small grant amounts. Again, teaching you how to fish versus giving fish are two very different things, and that's what we're looking to do. So we hope that you take us up on all of the gifts/resources that we are providing outside of the grant amounts. Thank you so much, and God bless you, and good luck.
I have a quick comment and question. I know that there are a lot of people applying. Would that also include larger organizations with much bigger budgets?
We are not putting a cap on who is going to apply. So you will see larger Black-led and Black-focused organizations. However, the priority is very much on grassroots organizations that usually do not get a fair shot. Our grants tri-chairs are very intentional about that. So you all do get the priority. Not you all, but smaller organizations do get the priority. However, we are not restricting large organizations from applying as well.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Awesome. Well, best of luck to y'all. So excited for all of you and your future work and to get to spend more time with y'all. If you need anything, we have listed all the things out, so please do reach out and have a wonderful and safe week, everybody. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.